I got accepted to Ohio State University. I'm very excited. I'll be starting in August. But a little bit about myself and my path of going into the application process and applying to vet school is my dream is to become a large animal veterinarian. So a lot of my experiences growing up on a ranch, I participated in FFA and 4-H and raised pigs and sheep and cattle. So really into the food side of things and even some equine as well. I went to Lynn Bend Community College for the first half of my undergraduate degree. I was pursuing a bachelor's in animal science. To finish out my undergrad, I actually moved to California State University, Chico, which I graduated with honors. So I also wanted to try and boost my application by participating in some research projects. So I participated in 3. So I did that, and I did a lot of community outreach. So I worked with some local youth programs in Alaska, where I went and helped them with their agricultural programs, judged their livestock shows, and put on a few summer camps there as well. So I really tried to make myself a really diverse person when it came to my application. I joined Collegiate FA, I joined a sorority, really just tried to put myself out there as much as I can, explore different options and avenues within the veterinary field itself, just to see what would interest me and spark my interest when I got into vet school. But that's a little bit about myself. It was a really intimidating process. There's so many different moving parts to it. Every school is looking for a different attribute to their candidate, or even when it comes to academics, they're looking for different prereqs and grades and what they're going to allow. And it can be really overwhelming, especially when it comes to the GRE or trying to get CASPER examined and writing your personal statements and then filling out the VEMCAS, because that's also overwhelming with all your experiences from the past 10 years. And so for me, I really wanted to make sure that the things that I was putting forward about myself were quality things. And I had a second pair of eyes that had been through the process and have experience with it, could look at it and really analyze it and help me put my best foot forward and hopefully get into vet school my first try. So that's definitely what I found by joining this program and seeking help. Honestly, just Googled veterinary application help, and I was looking at different options, but what really stood out to me was the 24/7 help, or being able to really connect with the person or my coach that I was going to be working with and getting advice from. I am definitely someone who's very nervous, and especially in a stressful situation as applying to vet school and having to wait and potentially going to interviews and taking the CASPER and the GRE. I really wanted that accessibility to the person that was going to be helping me if I had any questions that came up. And so that's something that really stuck out to me, and that they help you with not only just your application, but your personal essays, interviews, and all the other, CASPERs or GRE that came through. So anything that you had a question on, there was your advisor, your coach there to help you through. She was amazing, and like I said, I'm a very nervous person, and this is a very stressful process to go through alone and not really know all the avenues of what could come up. And so I really, really appreciated that anytime I emailed, anytime I reached out to her, she immediately would get back to me. We would put a plan in place. For example, I actually didn't find out about this program until later on in my application process. So I started with roughly 4 weeks before the applications were due. It's a lot to go through, like experiences, awards, all these essays, getting your transcripts in. But anytime I messaged, she would make time for me. She was very accessible to me and really just understanding, so kind through it all, even when I had my little stresses or when I needed, my first interview came up. I was very, very nervous. It was not with an interview panel. It was just me looking at myself in the camera. And we practiced like 3 times a week until my interview for about 3 weeks. And so I just really appreciated just having that person to lean on and ask those questions and just have support overall, because my parents are amazing, but they haven't been through this process. So it was just nice to have somebody who had some understanding and background of what I was going to go through. To be able to shoot her an email and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. What should I do in the process of waiting? Or, hey, I have this interview coming up. Is there any way that we could squeeze in one more practice? I'm super, super nervous and I just want to go over everything again. She's always right there and willing to do it with such a great attitude. And she was always so supportive and so positive that it made my nerves kind of go away and just make the experience for me through this process so much more fun and enjoyable instead of something that I'm dreading, to sit in front of a computer and do an interview. So it was just really, really valuable just to have that person with the experience that can just talk me through it and be positive and help me put my best foot forward. My biggest thing is don't wait. Try and get it done as early as possible, and definitely find a program like this and try and get someone to help you through it, just because two pairs of eyes are better than one. Just like I said, don't wait, because it is such a big thing and it does put a lot of pressure on you. It is a lot to get done, especially if schools require like the GRE and the CASPER exam. Just give yourself some grace, take a deep breath when you're going through things, and just give yourself the time, because it's better to have time to look over things multiple times and just put your best foot forward and pray that everything works out really well. But just give yourself time, give yourself grace. You'll make it through it, I promise.